Welcome to the segment where I review movies past and present, examining them from a variety of perspectives, including the subjective, psychological, and personal. Informative and occasionally funny, this is LoganLand Rants. Welcome to LoganLand Rants, and today we'll be doing something a little bit different. Today we'll be talking about one of my favorite YouTube channels ever, RocketJump, originally known as the Freddie W channel. I wasn't exactly a follower of theirs in the beginning when they started, but in the past couple of years I've watched many of their videos, their entire show on Hulu multiple times, got really into it, and also obviously I've seen the first 2 seasons of the 3-season video game High School, which is great. And I've also watched an absurd amount of interviews with YouTube founder of RocketJump, Freddie Wong. Need I say more? I'm not an expert by any means, but I do really love his work and might even marathon all his videos when I get home. Anyway, RocketJump is great for what it is, which is a series of action comedy shorts, occasionally accompanied by behind-the-scenes footage, and there's a clear love of craft behind their work. Like, filmmaking craft is obviously never gonna reach the widest audience possible, because obviously not everyone's interested in how the movie's made. They usually care about the finished product. But the finished product is not only really great, but the behind the scenes often add some context to why they're so great. It's the hard work of many people, many close friends, who just go together and play make-believe for a while. And for me, that's A, something I want to do, and B, nothing more beautiful than that. I think it's really important and necessary to know how hard it is creating the entertainment you love, and sometimes that's something people aren't always going to be grateful about. And I completely understand why, but I do think if anyone takes the time to appreciate how something they love is made, they might even increase their appreciation of that. I mean, that's what it did for Star Wars when I was younger. But beyond that, RocketJump mostly makes action comedy shorts, but according to interviews, they usually have a more human element to it. Like there are some sketches that are created with ridiculous intent. The serial killer was created off the idea of hiding it frozen in place in a supermarket fridge, while the other shorts have more humane elements. The best example I can think of being Sleep Fighter, which is about an adopted family that gets together and, well, 2 adopted sisters, and they realize one of them's a sleep fighter, and it becomes quickly an angry, but ultimately angsty exploration of what it's like when your family's never going to be the same as it is. Because this is a new situation for the characters, and they managed to cram that all into under 5 minutes, and I think that's really masterful. Freddie Wong and his co-founders, I guess, if you could call them that, they went to film school together, and I think that's important to note. But they acknowledged that wasn't really specifically a help for them. They train you more explicitly than implicitly. And now we're just aware of technology. We don't speak in those photography, filmmaking terms, but when we do create something like I'm creating right now, we generally know what needs to be done, even if we can't necessarily articulate our terms. We just speak in a different language, a different variant of that same cinematic language. And that's something Freddie acknowledges really well. While retaining the human element, he ultimately is a master of his craft. I said it. And that's rare for someone on YouTube, understanding the humanity but still remaining populist filmmaking. I'm not putting him in the same category as other greater directors like Christopher Nolan by any means, but I do think he's probably one of the best filmmakers working on a small scale right now. Or not even right now. He's been taking a little bit of a hiatus recently with all his podcasts and stuff. But I think if he ever goes back to short films, his videos will get about as much views as they've always gotten, which is up to hundreds of millions, depending on the video, obviously. But Freddie and his co-stars all shine in their small parts. Obviously, Ashley Birch from Ash What You Playin' came on to RocketJump as a writer once RocketJump started getting big, her and her brother Anthony, who often work as co-writers together. I think that's worth noting. And Will Campos, a co-writer of Video Game High School, who's friends with Freddie's friends, Matt Arnold. And really, it's just a close-knit group. If you watch RocketJump the show, which is free on Hulu, all 8 episodes, I have to admit, one of the best behind-the-scenes look of filmmaking ever. And also, all 8 episodes, give or take episode 2, some people I can see being uncomfortable with that. But other than that, all 8 episodes are like great masterclasses in economical filmmaking, making exactly what they need to make for their specific project. And it's awesome. Like, my personal favorite episode is episode 6, Jess's Big Date, because I can relate a lot to Clinton Jones, the YouTuber who started an old series called Cardboard Warfare and then went on to work at RocketJump as a director. I relate a lot to him. Like, if I were ever on a set working with producers, I can imagine his relationship with Matt and Freddie in that episode working much the same way. Like, the producer's bossing him around when he needs to, but ultimately, while he might feel conflicted about this, he'll ultimately do what he can to get his job done, and might even feel better as a result of said producer-ish oversight. That's my favorite episode. Although, if we're talking my favorite short at the end of the episode, probably not my favorite. My favorite short at the end of the episode is probably the series finale, Tip Jar, which is a black and white silent film produced by RocketJump, meant to be a kind of homage to earlier silent films. And RocketJump's done some great work, but ultimately, and I'm not feeling great, ultimately they've done some great work, but they can be really inventive within the confines of their work. Truck Flipper versus Bus Puncher, their third short, was probably the hardest production I've seen on their show. But they got it done, and they got the stunts they needed to get done, and it's honestly a better product for it. Because Truck Flipper versus Bus Puncher is basically just about 2 production companies one-upping each other, because in every film there's like a scene where a large vehicle is flipped over. Dark Knight, Hellboy, Terminator Genesis are the examples used in the episode. But they actually do the real stunt. Like, they flip an actual bus and they flip an actual truck. But as they get one-up, as the production companies start one-upping each other, it's clear that CGI the more absurd items, but the setup for the joke is solid, and they acknowledge that in the behind the scenes, and I think that's important to note. The setup makes the ludicrousness of the situation all the more better. Now, with that in mind, RocketJump could definitely be a turnoff to some people, especially if you're particularly homophobic, which, I don't know why you'd be listening to this unless you're my family members. Basically, RocketJump episode 2 is about fan fiction and girls who are writing fan fiction, and they get Sherlock Holmes and Dracula to make out. And I don't see why you'd be uncomfortable with that. I guess I kind of understand it's not 110% normal, quote unquote. But the episode itself is effective on so many other levels, and Ashley Birch actually wrote and directed that episode short. And I think she did a really great job, all things considered. I severely doubt Ashley or anyone on RocketJump would possibly be listening to this lowly podcast. But if you are listening, I just want to let you know, you weren't my earliest inspiration on filmmaking, as you should have been. But you were definitely an influence. Your behind-the-scenes footage, Video Game High School, RocketJump the show, all really great. And it's hard to overstate how influential RocketJump was, and realizing, oh shit, I should really step up my game a little bit. But anyway, usual outro stuff, like, subscribe, usual stuff. I started doing video essays again. I'm writing, as we speak, I'm writing and directing a video essay on Reservoir Dogs, so stay tuned to that. Logan out.